I have no slides. I want to talk about one material because I've got 7 minutes, and I thought I'm at a building place. Let me tell a story that's nothing to do with construction materials, but is a material story which I think we can draw analogies from, and it will save me having to name and shame certain things within the building industry and be over excited about a different industry. So this is a piece of PET plastic, which this sort of globus amount of stuff is midpoint in the recycling of milk bottles. So those plastic milk bottles that you will buy your milk from, if you buy the milk from the supermarkets, for example, will come in those kind of white cartons with the red, green, blue lids on, and when they go into your recycling kind of bin, they get separated out. And what happens actually with all of your waste plastic is that it gets shredded and turned into tiny little flakes of almost like confetti plastic, and they're tumbled from a height similar to this building. The shredder spits them out. If you've ever seen like Christmas trees on the street being shredded by the council, it's exactly like that. Stuff's going in one end, and then it's shredded and it's chopped, thrown out the top. And this shredded plastic tumbles an extraordinary height, and it passes by cameras. So there's rows and rows and rows of cameras looking with beady little eyes at this tumbling plastic. And the cameras are looking to pick out white. And if they see a bit of white, they send a message to a little air jet that's below them to go poof. So it goes poof, poof, poof. So what's happening is this tumbling waterfall of confetti plastic is like fart. Poof, 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 poof. And then at the bottom of the waterfall, you have two bins. One is your mixed multicoloured plastic flakes. The other is a bin of white plastic. And then why would they do that? Well, your white plastic is a premium material. To be able to extract white is really useful because white's the stuff they can dye any other colour you might want. Even if you manage to get all blue bits together, once you melt them down and stir them around, they're a blue, but they're never going to be like a bright zingy cobalt or something, or you're never going to get turquoise again, but you'll get something bluish. So to get white is really important for the industry of recycling, because then they could sell it on to be dyed another colour or sold on to be white, right? So you're never going to get white back once you've started dyeing this plastic. So the white plastic is melted down and starts to be extruded like a big, massive sort of turdy toothpaste thing. And this is the kind of, when they change the nozzles, they don't stop the process and bits tumble out onto the floor. So this is that point when they've melted down the white and they end up with this. But the eagle-eyed amongst you are probably thinking, it's not white, Zoe. I'm like, I know, it's not white. And that's because you can pass it around. That's because the most popular milk in this country is semi-skimmed, and semi-skimmed has green lids. So once they do the chipping and farting and separating, if a bit of coloured plastic ever gets into the white, chances are it's a little bit of green. So what happens is the white plastic slowly turns a little bit green, and the more you put it through this processing, the greener it gets. So the recycling plant said, well, we're trying to do this good thing of taking this waste stream and processing it and making a new raw material for the making of new bottles or anything else you want to be white. But our material is being corrupted by these green lids. So they went to the supermarkets and they said, could you, and amazingly they managed to get all the big players in the room, said, could you make the lids of the milk bottles white? And they're like, oh no. And they're like, but they explain the process, and this would be great because it would really help us keep the purity of the white, and it makes it much more resellable. Like, no. The British people, they need their coloured lids. Like, people won't know what to do if they don't, they really identify with these lids being, they're a green lid person, they're a semi-skim leak. Although, no, they only ever have red. No, they said, we run focus groups, and they couldn't handle it. So they said, okay, and they went away and they thought about it, and basically that's madness, right? There shouldn't be any choice. You should just go make them white lids. Anyway, what they managed to do was they managed to get the supermarkets all to agree to within a window of like a week or something, just change the percentage of dye they put in their plastic. So this is now your new, this is what lids are currently like. You probably never even noticed the change, but they used to be a much darker, less opaque green plastic for the milk lids. So they just reduced the dye content by like 90%. So you've got a brighter green thing, but it's the pigment is less polluting for the white, if that makes sense. It's less leachy. But the problem is it's still white. I mean, it's still green. And really, it should be white. And in some respects, well, I think it really should be illegal to make them any other colour. Like, this is something that shouldn't be the consumer's choice. It shouldn't be the marketing department doing a kind of like a test working out which one would sell better, or even to say we could steal a march Tesco if we say all of our lids are white and we're doing it for ecological reasons, and they would do it because that's got a commercial imperative. Really, these are sort of legislative things, because the problem of materials in whatever industry you want to look at for making, be it construction, be it electronics, be it shoes, be it anything, is so massive, and it's what would be described as a wicked problem, which was a term coined in the 60s to describe something, a problem that's so huge and potential solutions for them are in of themselves conflicting and contradictory, and it's just so messy that you can't really deal with it on our human day-to-day scale. Like, we are dumb people who will just pick a nice thing off the shelf. Like Procter & Gamble, they recently released a shampoo bottle which is in 100% recycled plastic, and they've said, well, if it's a success with the public, we'll roll it out as what we make all our bottles out of. And you think, well, why don't you just make all your bottles out of it? Why is it us to pick it off the shelf and give you something on a balance sheet? Anyway, but really, what it comes down to is you realise, like, all they've got to make like that shower gel for him is the fact it's in like a grey bottle. That's pretty much it. It may smell different, but it is the same shower gel inside that bottle. And being in a grey bottle is all they have to kind of market it and sell it to us. And we like something new, so we will buy it. But so you just can't give us or them that choice, I think. And I think that example can be scaled up and moved sideways and applies to all sorts of material chains. And that might be my 7 minutes. Okay.